Isn't it funny when you watch a free-to-play guide and then realize all the champions have been skilled up and you don't have any resources to skill up your champions and you just basically can't run those teams? Well, that happened to me. So I made a video for you guys where we go through the early game dungeons where we focus on Plain Beast, Burning Land, Frozen Plain. We try to get the resources to improve our champions without any skill ups. None of these champions have been skilled up. I do have a vigor set on my champions, but none of my gear actually has been farmed from dungeons. I've just forged a bit of vigor gear so I can get my abilities off. So let's jump into it. Let's see what we can do with no skill ups on our champions. So the first place we're going to start is by order. We're going to go with Penid. Penid is the boss that is going to give you mana orbs, and mana orbs are what you need to go past the threshold. So increase your star level on your champion. So 4-star to 6-star, or 4-star, 5-star, 6-star, however you wanna look at it. As you can see, my champions are at 6-star at this point. But if you guys are struggling with the stages, you can always drop down. The main stage where you want to get to is stage 7, because that's where you start picking up the mythical mana orbs, which let you take your champions from 5-star to 6-star. So if you can't do 8, 7 is just fine for the time being, and once you level up your champions you can get here. You do want to keep your damage dealer at 6-star because you want to break the tusk off the boss. We'll get into the mechanics shortly, but what I am running is a Tristan and a Morgan, the two free legendaries. I am using Gillian, which is my healer. You can also run a Sarah or a Clementine. Whoever's your healer, you put her in there as well. Gillian is not the best healer in the game, but she does do decreased turn meter or attack gauge and increased attack gauge and single target healing. And then we have Rosier with the damage coming in. I'm just going to turn this down because I don't really want to use too much energy here, just so I can show you guys. I'm focusing on other dungeons. Really, the mechanics you want to look out for is the tusks. How I generally say is that if you are going directly for Penid and killing him fast, that's great. You can speed farm like that. But if you're doing harder stages, it'll be better for you to break the tusks down and then focus the boss after that. Because once you break the tusk, the boss gets decreased attack put on him and his damage goes down significantly. Once he goes into the second phase, once we take him down half-life, he will start hitting harder and harder. So it's nice to get the tusk out the way. That's how I like to do it. Again, if you are strong enough to just focus the boss down, that's also a really good strategy as well. But if you're struggling with the stage, this is what I would recommend. Now you can see the boss has the silver shield over him and he has a counter on the top left of his icon. This means that you won't be able to do any damage to him until you bring his barrier down. As you can see, it's gone up to 16 hits. So we want to be doing as many hits as possible. So I'll take you through basically what my team does. We have Gillian who does just 1 hit. We have Morgan who does the triple AoE and decreased turn meter, which is really nice. We can control the boss like that. We have Rosier doing, I believe, 5 or 6 hits where she does her Vigor 3 ability and she really focuses the boss down. That is a chunk of hits that we get. And then we also have our Tristan. Tristan is capable of doing a lot of hits, but is on cooldown. So if you see here, his basic attack is attacks one enemy, does decrease speed, which is fantastic. But on his passive, if the enemy has any protection, so any shield or barrier, he does additional hits. So he will be getting up to 5 hits from his A1 and his passive. That's why he's really, really good for this. And he does the decreased speed as well. That time his passive was on cooldown, so we only got the 1 hit. There is that thing, his passive does go on cooldown, which is not great. Apparently he was nerfed before I started playing the game. Apparently it didn't matter if he had a barrier or not, Tristan would do his ability. He does feel a little bit underwhelming right now. His damage isn't even as good as the other single target champions in the game. Rosie is really, really good. You can also run K. If you're a K enjoyer, or if you're a K main, or if you've not been able to pick up Rosier's red artifact, K will do this just fine. You won't get the damage over time ticks, but you will get some buffs that come with her A2, and she does a similar amount of hits as well, so you will have no problem bringing the shield down. Here you will see Penid is on his last legs, and we should go in and take him out. Easy peasy, there we go. So this is how you want to farm Penid. Again, if you have K, you can run K over Rosier. Once you get these mana orbs, you can take your champions up to 6-star, so you can progress further into the game. Let's get into the next boss, which is Goos. Now, all of these bosses kind of have like different mechanics that you need to look out for, which is really, really cool. You can, to some extent, use the same team, but you will need to build at least 1 or 2 dedicated champions for each boss. I would say 1 dedicated champion for each boss. And for Goos, he does an AoE damage over time burn, which you need to cleanse off because it can really just get out of hand. So what I've done is I've built Jirit for this. He does a AoE cleanse. He does it on his passive as well. And he does it on his Vigor 2 ability. So if you look at our relic and then you look at his V2, removes 1 dot from all allies and grants increased crit rate, which is really good. And he inflicts poisons on himself, which is good for his passive. When inflicted with a dot, gain effect accuracy increase for the rest of the battle. So he does his increased accuracy on himself when he has damage over time, where he does the poisons and the boss does the burns too. So if you have 2 or more effect accuracy increase, remove all buffs from Jirit. So he will be getting rid of the buffs, recharge the attack gauge of all the allies, so 30% turn meter boost whilst he's losing the buffs, and he removes all the dots from the allies. So you are losing your buffs, but at the same time you're cleansing and doing 30% turn meter boost, which is really, really good. And he basically doesn't have a passive cooldown on this. So you can do this as long as he has 2 increased accuracies. He will be able to get rid of those, boost your turn meter, and give you damage over time cleanse, which is the debuff that the boss does. And then he does have another passive. We're not really going to focus on this too much. Jirit's Carelessness applies effect accuracy decrease for 3 turns. He doesn't really do any debuffs, so we're not really too worried about that. So that's basically why he's in the team. He's there to get rid of the burns from us. We have Clementine to give us a bit of healing. Rosier works again for this because she does damage over time. You can't really do that much damage to Goos as pure damage. You need to bring damage over time. So somebody like an Anguish is really good here. And then we have the second healer in Gillian. Again, you can use 2 different healers. You can use Sarah with the Clementine, or you can even use Luke, who's a common or an uncommon champion. You can use him too. So we'll jump into this battle. Here, you don't really want to target the arms. Like I said, you can't do any pure damage. Most of your damage will be coming from dot damage over time. So you don't really want to focus arms. You just want to focus the boss. So we will see here the boss has already done 2 burns on us, and that would be not great. It would do damage over time to us, and it slowly brings us down. It's not really what we want. So we are using Jirit just to clean off those debuffs, using him to cleanse off the debuffs. So you can see he keeps on doing debuffs on us. We keep cleansing and keep boosting our turn meter, which is really, really good for us. There he goes, plus 300. I believe 1,000 is a full attack gauge. So when it says 100 attack gauge increase, that's 10%. If it's 300 increase, that's 30% of your attack gauge. So you can see he's increasing 30% of our attack gauge there, as it says in his passive too. We have our Clementine giving us heals. We have our Gillian give us a single target, just a little top up as well. And then Gillian also boosts our turn meter whenever she heals from a passive. So that's nice as well. If you have Gillian, she's fine. Although I'm using her here, I do believe like if you ran a pure healer, it might even be better. But I've already invested in Gillian, so that's why I'm using her here. That's what's going to end up happening in early game. You're going to end up using a lot of the same sort of champions. Because it's early game, you can't really invest too much. If you've been free to play like I have, then it's going to be really tough for you to be able to spread all your resources and build too many champions up. But Goos is the boss that's going to give you the small XP potions. So once you go from 5-star to 6-star, and you need to bring the champion from 50 to 60, or even if you go from 4-star to 5-star, you need to go to 40 to 50, you will need these small brews, these small potions. As you can see, now he's going to get really serious and start doing a lot more damage. When they go below the threshold, the second phase of the boss, it tends to do a little bit more damage. So we're seeing here that the single target smack also almost did like around about 60%, nearly killed my Jirit. But because we have the 2 healers in there, I'm hoping we'll be able to survive this boss. We're landing our bleeds with our Rosier there. She's basically the reason why we're able to do damage to this boss. As you can see, the bleeds tick quite nicely on him. So we want to do as much bleed damage as possible. Like I said, you can run Anguish for this. He does chills, which is a different type of damage over time, but it still works just the same. He can also be used for Penid too, since he has the 5 hitting ability on his V3. And also he's a free champion you can pick up. I believe they give him to you on 14 days. They might give him to you on 7 days as well. But you do get like different copies for Anguish, so you can use him. And here we go, slowly just bringing down Goos. There we go. I believe that bleed should be enough. Maybe he'd be surviving one more turn. Maybe he lives just for one more turn. Nope, down he goes. So that is Goos. As you can see, we've got 119. I think this is like the uncommon XP potion. You can get rare ones and bigger ones if you're doing harder stages. But at the moment, I haven't farmed too much gear, so I can only do 8. So we'll go ahead and look at the last dungeon, which is Aldry. Now this is the Frozen Plain. The Frozen Plain is the bear, and the bear's mechanic is basically, so for the first boss, we want to break down his tusks and we want to break his shield. Second boss, Goos, we want to cleanse the damage over time and do damage over time to him. The final boss is basically anti-healing. You need to bring anti-healing because once he does his ability hibernation, he goes to sleep for 2 turns, and when he wakes up he heals like 50% of his HP. So you can be stuck in a position where you are just hitting the boss is healing, and you're just not really being able to put him down. So for this, I am bringing in Morgan, who has anti-healing on the V3 ability. So I use her for the V3. There are a few different strategies. Some people like to use her for the A2 for the increased defense strip, and for the decreased defense on the basic attack. That way you can DPS the boss down and just kill him rather than worrying about anti-healing. But again, I don't have that good of a gear, so I can't really burst through the boss like that. So for me, I have to take the chance on the anti-healing. The anti-healing does land for 1 turn. And it's a 70% chance of landing. As you can see there, recovery disruption is the debuff that we're looking for. He's in hibernation state. He has 2 turns of hibernation. So what ends up happening is sometimes I don't land. It might happen here where I don't actually land my ability that I needed to. There I did the A2. I was testing this out, but I don't think I really like this. I was trying to do both, trying to get anti-healing or recovery disruption and trying to strip buffs at the same time. But then I just realized it's better for me just to focus on that one ability. So we didn't get the anti-healing there. He healed up a little bit. The way the mechanic of the healing works is the more HP he's lost, the more HP he's going to recover. So there he probably recovered like 15 to 20% HP. But when he's down low, he can heal all the way up 50% HP. So he'll go back from his second form into his first form again. So you will have like a long time trying to bring him down if you don't run recovery disruption. There are other champions like a Colin. I believe a Colin does anti-healing or recovery disruption. But with that, again, it's another champion I rather not build. I rather just use my Morgan and get the chance of landing the recovery disruption at the right time than to build a brand new champion when I can just focus on building other champions to be other content. If you were running a Colin, you could go a Colin and Morgan together, one to strip the increased defense and one to land the recovery disruption. But like I said, again, if I was building more champions, I would have a lot of other things I would focus on before worrying about it too much. You can see here we've not landed the recovery disruption. He went down, he went back from around about 40%, 45% all the way up to like 80, 75, 80%. So yeah, it is a bit RNG, but we do have good sustain. We're healing up pretty much okay. We'll see how long this takes. We're already like 2 minutes and 40 seconds into this fight. So not the quickest fight, not the quickest, but Again, we are sustaining, we are getting through here. The boss does hit very, very hard, but again, we're going along. You could even drop Tristan maybe for another anti-recovery or recovery disruption champion, or maybe a strip champion or decreased defense. But I like the decreased speed that he brings with his basic attack, and also because I'm using Morgan's Vigor 3 ability, I do need a lot of Vigor. So I have Tristan doing his basic attack. And also I run him in a Vigor set. So whenever he takes a turn, I'm recovering 3 Vigor, which is really, really good because I'm using 2 champions who are doing Vigor 3 abilities for me. We're getting really close. It's looking very, very scary right now. My Morgan is frozen. Not what I like to see. Let's see if we can get through here. Maybe we will lose our healer. No, he's gone into hibernation state. We're going to have to basically land recovery disruption on this turn. Or is it next turn? It might be, yeah, on this turn. We're going to have to land recovery disruption here. Oh, we missed it. Perfect. We missed recovery disruption. That is bad. Maybe if we can take one more turn with our... No, he just healed up. Maybe with one more turn with our Rosier, we would have been able to finish him off. But like I said, it's RNG. This is like the longest it's taken me. Of course, that would happen. I get the worst luck on stream when it comes to runs. But yeah, you can run, like I said, you can run a different recovery disruption champion. I don't normally get this unlucky. If we had landed it there, it was like a 70% chance. Or if I had my Morgan skilled up, that would have been good too. But none of my champions are really skilled up. I don't have the resources. Early on, you're not going to have the resources to book your champions. I've been seeing a lot of different teams that have all these books and everything, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't have any books. I can't book up my champions. I can't skill up my champions. I don't have the materials yet. I don't know how people get them on a free-to-play account this early on. It's very, very tough to get skill ups for your champions. Again, we didn't land decrease or heal reduction, and he's going to heal up 50% again. This is pain. This is maximum pain. But this can happen. This is probably going to be a long sort of like fail for me, but I'm not going to take it out. I'm going to leave it in because this can happen. This will happen. If you're running a recovery disruption champion who's going to do it on a 70% chance, this will happen. But I'll show you guys a run where it fully completes. I'll take it to the end and then just show you the final phase of the fight. But yeah, it will happen with Morgan where you don't actually... you're not able to get the recovery disruption, and he just heals up. It is what it is. It happens, right? What are you going to do? So yeah, I'll let this run go through and we'll come back at the end and we'll talk about the team and what you can do differently. So there it is. That's how we generally take him down. If we land recovery disruption at least once, we're fine. But if we don't land recovery disruption at the right time, the run can get longed out a little bit. 3 minutes and 20-ish seconds is round about the run I'll be basically getting with this sort of team. One thing to point out when it comes to like most of the teams is you basically want to run as many champions in Vigor as you possibly can. I'm running my Morgan, my Clementine, basically all of my heroes apart from my Rosier is in Vigor set. So the Gillian that we saw earlier, the other champion, the Jiret that we saw earlier. I believe I'm running 6 champions in these 3 different dungeons. All of them are in Vigor set apart from Rosier. I did play around with Rosier in Vigor set for Gorgos because we don't really get any pure damage. We're just looking for more and more more and more bleeds, but I then just decided to keep her build the same. Since it was just too many vigor sets, I didn't have that many. But yeah, those are the teams I'm running right now. When it comes to the last basic boss, I want to do a dedicated video for this, because you do need to build slightly different strategy for this. You need to focus on basic attack gauge reduction and more decreased speed. So I am building a team for that. I'll showcase that in a later video. I don't want to make this video too long, but that's generally how you want to do the early-ish dungeons. Once you are farming these 3 dungeons, you will be able to improve your champions, level them up, power them up, and also improve your artifacts, your relics, which are really important in this game too. I'll show you the relics that I'm rocking. I'm having a 4-star. I'm generally focusing on my damage dealer relic first, and then maybe my main healer second, so maybe Clementine or my Gillian. If I had a better Morgan, maybe we can use her as a side damage piece, so we could use her relic upgrade as well. And Tristan's really just there for the debuff. He can do very, very good damage, but like I said, I've got a lot of priorities, and as a free-to-play early game, you're not going to be able to get that many resources where you can get everything upgraded immediately. So focus your damage dealers first, and then after that, your main healer, your biggest healer, or the healer that you use the most, because healing is scaling with the healer's max HP. So that's it. That's the guide. That's what you want to do early game. That's how you want to farm early game. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. Shout out to Netmarble, Kabam for sponsoring this video. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.